All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and dig into it. Obviously, CPI print did come in hotter than expected. We're on par with 8.2, guys. Really, we had to have a print come in below in order to see any type of real sustainability on the rally. That's why I didn't take anything really overnight except for those lottos on UPST. As far as the day plan, so I did post 2 watch lists last night. I posted a bear focus and a bull focus. Obviously, guys, we have the S&P down 2% right now. We have Apple down 3%. So my focus is going to be on the bear side. Obviously, Apple is going to be my top focus coming into today, guys. I will point out we do have the UVXY, did test 14 and rejected. We've got SPY at this big 350 level coming into today, guys. This is going to be really important to watch. This 350 level is a big pivot point on those larger time frame charts, guys. If you guys come out to the weekly chart with me, we're sitting on the weekly chart of the S&P 500 right now. Our pre-COVID high was at that 339 area. We're testing the 350 level now, which, as you can see, was a major point on the weekly chart back here in August of 2020. So we are currently at levels not seen since August of 2020, guys, at that 350 level. This is going to be a big area to watch, right at that 349 pivot. If we break below 349, that's where I think we could see some type of capitulatory type of move under that 348.90 level. That's what we're kind of have to be in the back of your mind today, in my opinion, guys. This was in all reality, not a good CPI report. The Fed wants to see probably more progress. Yes, some of the data is lagging. I first want to say this is going to affect my day trade prospectus, not my swing prospectus, right? My swings are for later November. Coins pulling back to the 62 level as we speak. Unless we see some type of, massive climactic event today, and it probably is still not going to change my plan too much. As far as my day trade perspective, though, obviously that's going to alter my plan, the direction we are having here in pre-market. It has to be prepared for increased volatility today, right? That's kind of the thought process coming in. It feels like maybe we've kind of reached that tipping point. I will say that you always just have to have this mindset, guys, that anything that can happen will happen, right? And so, yes, the print was hot, and my focus is going to be short bias coming into the day, at least at the start. But I always say this, and I did the same thing when I was, on the pre-market live before, when the Ukraine invasion happened, right? And everybody was thinking we were going to see limit down, et cetera. And we might see a limit down day, right? We that would probably signify kind of the end of this move, because it's been a slow motion crash up to this point. But I always have my head on a swivel and really looking for the best opportunity, right? So like I said, we are entering this major pivot. Pre-market low on the S&P 500 is that 348.52 level, guys. That's going to be a very important area to watch. I have the 348.52, the 348.90 level, and then obviously the 349 and 350 psych levels mapped out. At 348.90 to the pre-market low area, which is 348.52, is going to be the big area that I want to watch today, right? We gapped down 12 points. We were ripping up in pre-market. It's going to be very important to also watch yields today. All of those things are going to be very, very important, guys, right? So we have a lot of seriously broken charts across the space right now, and that's going to be important to watch. A lot of new 52-week lows being made in pre-market. And when we get a big move like this in pre-market, guys, always kind of have to have your wits about you, right? Because things can really turn on a dime. Now, as far as resistance on the upside, SPY did test that 350.38 level to the upside, and that's where we saw resistance come in. So I also have that level mapped out going into the open, 350.38. And those are going to be the main pivots that I'm watching, right? So 348.90, pre-market low, 348.52. And then that upside area that we did try to test when we came up, which is that 350.38. If we continue to sell off at that level and reject, that's going to be kind of some short confirmation for me off the open, right? We've been doing this long enough. When you see the tape off open, it usually gives you a pretty clear idea of how the day is going to go on these types of days. On Apple, this is going to be my top focus setup. I said this last night, but I made a watch list for both. I made a watch list for a decent print, and I made a watch list for a hot print. And since we got the hot print, that's the 3 setups that I'm going to cover coming into today. These are the 3 setups I feel like offer the most risk reward to the short side. And definitely the best technical setup. So if we look at the Apple daily chart, guys, we've obviously broken below this 137.45 level. Next support is that 134 area, which we just tapped, right? So if you look back, we obviously saw that massive wick down to that 134's area back in the late May, second to last week in May. And this is going to be an area to watch. If we continue to fail at this 134 level, I think we should test the June lows pretty easily at that 128.84 level on the Apple daily chart, right? That was our June low, was 128.86. So if we continue to fail at this 134 level, which we are now testing, 132 and then 128.86 are going to be the levels that I am watching the closest. So that's going to be a key area to watch for me at that 134 level on Apple. As you can see, once we broke that 137 support on the hourly, that was a very important spot. So that's going to be my top watch on the short side. Tesla is another name that I'm going to be watching very closely today. I'm going to clear my levels here, guys, and we're going to look at the weekly chart. This is going to be really, really interesting to see, honestly. This was a do or die setup coming into today. I'm looking at the weekly because we kind of need to observe the weekly chart in order to understand what levels we're going to be looking at. This has been the weakest name by far. This thing's been selling off almost a month straight now. If we break below the 210 level, which we are currently below right now, we're at 208.60. This is going to be a key area to watch, guys. So if we break below this 207 to 210 demand, right? And I reference the 210 demand because there is a little bit of psych level support there that we've seen come in the past at 210, but 200 is really the big spot, right? So if we see a break below that 206.99, 207 level, I do think we could see kind of a bigger move down towards that 182 mark, right? That would be that kind of fill below, right? We kind of have the pretty consistent price action. It's a nasty setup, and really I think that 182 to 165 kind of comes into play, right? But I really do think we would probably see some buyers step in at 182. I'm interested to see how this trades off the open. There's big demand at that low from late May, guys, at 206.86. We'll see how that acts off the open. We're just above that level right now on the Tesla chart. This is going to be a really important area to watch. Pre-market low is right there at that May low level, right, of that 208 spot. So we'll see how we treat this 207 to 208 area. Obviously, on the upside, that 210 level that I mentioned was the area that we definitely found some resistance when we tried to come back up after the print. Obviously, that was shorted pretty easily, and Tesla continues to fail. So UVXY is making another leg up here, so the VIX is continuing to ramp higher. The other main focus setup short for me is going to be UPS. On the weekly chart, guys, this 154 level is about as critical as it gets. Again, we're looking at the weekly chart here, guys, because we're at levels we haven't seen in a very long time on a lot of names. On UPS, this 154 level is going to be important. I marked it out yesterday. If we break below this zone, I really think we see that move down to 147. This is probably my top watch today because if we really do dump, right, this has got a very clear topping pattern and could really fade down towards that one, even like 117 level if it breaks below 147. So I'm going to be watching this one really closely, guys. It did break below that 157 level in pre-market. Not selling off as hard as some other names, but usually UPS is one that kind of will, it might take until the open before you see that real kind of sell volume come in. So I'm watching very, very closely. I do think that this could see a move down to 147. UPS is going to be naturally a little bit more weak. It's in a sector that is, downgrading guidance, etc. FedEx obviously guided down. So this is a sector that I'm looking to take advantage of. I still feel this has a lot of meat left on the bone in terms of the short side, which is those are the setups that I want to focus on. It's kind of like those leader names that haven't failed as really much as much as they can, right? The valuations are lower in some sets, right? Like in some growth names, there's valuations that are definitely lower than they are in mega cap tech. Mega cap tech is still the space that can unwind. And the final mega cap tech name that I'm going to be focused on is Amazon. Again, I'm going to clear my levels for you guys just so I can illustrate what I'm kind of looking at. We're on the Amazon weekly chart. And really, guys, this is going to be a very key area to watch. At that 112 level, which we are now well below, we are actually at that 108 spot, right? This has been a big area of demand between 101 to 109. Like that level, you can see these larger scale wicks down between 100 and 107. We are currently trading at 108 in the pre-market. If we fail and continue to fail that 108 level, I'm going to be looking for a move towards that 100 psych. I think that is a pretty logical short side target that implies another 8% downside there at that 101 to 102 level. So like I said, I still really think there's a decent short opportunity here. Under 112, this seems pretty broken to me, especially on the daily chart, which we tried to reclaim yesterday and did a bit briefly, but really none of these reclaims mattered into CPI, right? Because it's a binary event. These charts are not as important, right? The day before, right? The daily close, etc. So, like I said, guys, those are going to be the top 4 setups that I am focused on this morning. I will say this, right? We've been culminating towards a move like this. There's going to be a ton of range today, probably either way. I'm hopeful for that, and I think that will be the case. If we see that kind of capitulatory move, a lot of these downside setups will validate, right? It can be tougher to trade that in my mind. If you kind of go back to COVID, things of that nature, where it was like the limit downs every day, it kind of goes against what you're thinking because that price action is going to be, different from what you are used to, right? That's kind of just like clear panic selling. I'm not sure if we're going to see that today. I'm not going to try to predict and say we are or we're not. You have to wait for the tape to develop. All I can do is prepare, and I have to prepare for the direction that I think the print is going to take us. In the back of your mind, I would keep the, idea open that, sometimes these kind of really big pre-market heavy sell-offs end up resulting in kind of that bounce trade because you have so many one-sided, trades out there that happened the day of the Ukraine invasion. And like I said, guys, it's always good to just not enter with like okay, I'm just going to full port SPY puts off the open, right? Be patient. If the tape is there and that's the unwind we see, then yeah, that's good. Like, obviously not full porting, but the SPY downside trade is going to be the obvious one, right? And that's definitely where my eyes are going to be alongside Apple. Apple is really the name to focus on, in my opinion. It's the name that can still let out the most air. You guys know I've been bearish on Apple still. I have been long some growth. But like I said, guys, I think that really I don't see the growth sell-off revisiting lows from May. I just don't see that, in my mind. But this is the chart that's really the one to focus on, right? If we gap down and continue to gap down, we're down 3% here. This one's showing relative weakness. A break under that 137.64 level kind of really sealed it this morning, guys. Next area of support is this 133.7 to 134 area off the open. So this is going to be where my eyes are at. And it doesn't need to be 8 or 9 different names, right? This is going to be where my eyes are looking. We'll see if we see selling ramp up here with now 7 minutes until the open. But this is going to be an area that I'm watching very closely. Like I said, I'm not looking to take a trade the first minute off open. I'm going to let things develop and settle. It's the day. The days after CPI have always been some of my best trading days because the market has finally got that massive binary catalyst out of the way. So don't feel like, the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is don't feel pressure because you're seeing or hearing maybe some people gambled on CPI and it's going to pay. Congratulations. Those premiums were gassed anyway. maybe they get a 2x, right? That type of deal. My point is, I don't feel pressure to do to be, getting 10x or whatever. There's going to be so many great opportunities with this move that we're having right now, both downside and then eventually on the upside as well. In not only just today, but the days after. So don't feel like you have to do anything. You need to be able to sit there and wait for the best setup. So for me, that best setup is going to be a firm break under 133 on Apple. I think that can be a catalyst for that larger scale kind of waterfall move downside on the S&P 500. If we bounce at 133.7, right, and we see that strong buying pressure come in, if you traded the Ukraine invasion day, you know what I'm talking about. One chart I'm going to look at is going to be Tesla. It's just probably one of the names, it's the most oversold I think I've ever seen it. And that doesn't really mean much. Crashes happen during oversold conditions. But if we're going to see any type of broader term, reversal, which I'm saying is an outlier possibility, I don't think that's going to happen. My mindset is definitely downside. Then Tesla's a chart I'm looking at because of where it's at on the weekly chart, right? So that's what I would say, guys. MJ names were strong yesterday. I doubt that's going to see any type of real continuation, but we have 5 minutes until the open. I'm going to be watching the VIX very closely for any type of move through that 40 zone. Like I said, guys, don't overcomplicate. Those are my main setups: Apple, Amazon, UPS to the downside. Tesla can be multi-directional setup, but if we do see some type of broader term market, buyer come in, right, which isn't, completely out of the realm, I would give that maybe a 10% chance of happening, but I have to keep my mind open. I don't want to go in with any type of firm emotional bias. I just want to sit here and be robotic, right? That's when my days go the best. So that is my plan for the day, guys. Apple is my top short focus. Watching that 348.9 level on the S&P 500 as we head into the open. The tape will be telling. First 15 minutes should really give us some direction. We did make a new pre-market low there at 348.27. We're almost at a 30% correction on the S&P. So I will be on the Discord live voice till my normal time, 9:30 to 11, and then we will absolutely get after it, guys. I will update if anything changes as far as my November and December positions. But like I said, need to be prepared for anything today. It's a day that, I put out the preparation last night. I put out the focus setups. Those are my focus setups this morning. Now it's all about execution. I'll see you guys on the Discord live voice, and I will see you there in about 2 minutes. Peace, guys. Let's